Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings and the Pro Football Bias Plus Reports. And this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is Ben Dickerson, your co-host, an avid New York Giants fan. We got a win this week. I was real happy about that. The rest of this stuff is madness. No easy walks in the park this season, folks. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, people, one of the great things about what we do with the net point power rankings is it kind of really looks at some trends. And, these teams are breaking their own trends. You know what I mean? They're looking bad, and pow, they knock the next team out the box. So
it's crazy.
It really, really is. And, one of the great things about what we do is we track the vital statistics, and we track those statistics are the average net points, average points for, average points against, and average turnover differential. So it's all about the points and the turnovers. And then from there on, you can take it and you can add whatever additional intelligence you have that you want to add to that baseline of information. But it's very illuminating, that baseline. And as far as I'm concerned, it's what defines an upset. You have a team, bias plus score favors the other team by 25 points, and that team comes by and beats that team. That's an upset.
I would say so.
It defines it. So let's take a look at some of these rankings that we were talking about. Okay, Ben, so let's take a look. This is my indulgence here. I love the symmetry of the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings. This is one of those statistics that tracks both positive and negative. So it's obvious to see why the New York Jets are the worst team. You can say they're the worst team in the league because they have the greatest number of negative net points. We'll talk about the actual numbers. I'll show you a little bit closer to the actual numbers, but you can see from the scale that they are, and then you have 31st place, Houston, Detroit, Jacksonville, Atlanta. So those kind of round out your bottom five, and you see where your top five are in Buffalo, New England, Arizona, Tampa Bay, and Cincinnati, one of the teams that's really creating some surprises and some electricity in the NFL because they are having to be contended with. So let's take a look at the top 10 in those categories: average net points, points for, points against, and average turnover differential, TOD, as we like to call them. And you have your net point rankings from Buffalo in first place at 13.1. And then this upstarts New England Patriot team coming in at second place, right behind them at 12.2 average net points per game. These are the only two teams in double digits in terms of net points at this point. Now, Arizona is coming off of buys and backup quarterbacks and all that type of good stuff, but they're still third place with 9.8 net points. Tampa Bay coming in right behind, fourth at 8.5, and then Cincinnati right there in the middle again, fifth place, the Cincinnati Bengals at plus 7.5 average net points per game. Now that's ahead of Dallas, Indianapolis, Green Bay, the Rams, and my Niners, who snuck in at number 10 there with plus 2.9. So you got to range from 7.5 down to 2.9 in average net points. That's your power 10 right there. What do you think about it?
Looks pretty good to me. Things are starting to shape up. The cream is beginning to rise to the top. Buffalo is Buffalo. They've had their share of bumps and bruises. but they still seem to be able to be in the top 10 in every category, top 5 in every category, as a matter of fact. The New England Patriots, I said weeks ago, as well as their defense had been playing. And if Mac Jones was able to continue to deliver on the offense in what sometimes could be considered a conservative offense, they're winning games, they're keeping the scores manageable, and their defense is doing a great job. I said that they would start to rise to the top. They're beginning to do that. Arizona got off to a really hot start.
I said beginning. You talking about the New England defense?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I said because they were playing so well, the team would begin to rise to the top.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Based on how well the defense has been playing. The offense is not spectacular. In fact, I don't see the offense in the points for category here at all. Oh, yes, I do. I see them down at number 7.
Oh, give them some credit, baby.
But the defense in points against is number 1. So that's what they're really hanging their hat on. And we saw that early on when Mac Jones was just beginning to start to really show his promise. So they're led by their defense, no doubt about it. But Mac Jones is beginning to get better and better each week. He's got a great offensive coordinator. They come in with great game plans every week, regardless of who they're going to play. And Mac Jones has been able to deliver. So, I can't say anything bad about that. Arizona got off to a really hot start. They're kind of riding that right now. But they haven't shown any signs of faltering. So they should be fine. Tampa Bay should be fine. Cincinnati is looking tremendous, especially last week. They have settled in on a nice run game. Mixon is running great. They're looking wonderful. And everybody else kind of is who they are. There's still going to be some movement there from 6, Dallas, down to 10, San Francisco. There should be some jockeying for position week after week as we come down to the last part of the season.
A couple interesting things that I saw, and again, I remind people this information is at the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and look up Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. They won't let me put the pro football in there yet. Then there's some Facebook regulations that I'm dealing with. But in any event, just going across, just looking at number 1 teams or top 3s, let's say. Buffalo, Tampa Bay first in scoring, New England first in defense, Indianapolis first in turnover differential. New England second in turnover differential. So for a rookie quarterback, that's a really great stat. And, the one other thing that I wanted to mention as I'm looking at these top 3 is that when we look at average net points here, now you're looking, this is what? Through week 12. So this is 12 weeks worth of statistics that's brought here, and that's what your average is over that 12 weeks. But relative to momentum, I like to look at the last 3 weeks when I can. And when I'm looking at the last 3 weeks, number 3, Kansas City Chiefs, averaging plus 14.3 points per average net points. Okay, 14 for the Kansas City Chiefs. So they're winning they won by a nice margin. San Francisco is in second place, averaging 16.3 points per game, net points rather. And New England is in first place at plus 28.7 net points over the last 3 weeks. So this is a hot squad, and it's going to be very interesting watching what goes on with them further down the line. The other thing that I want to mention real quick is when I looked at Cincinnati, it kind of brought something to mind. Notice Cincinnati is 6th in offense and defense. That's balance. You know what I mean?
Tremendous balance.
That's tremendous balance. And when you're looking at some of your contenders, you kind of want to see that. We talked last year, for example, I think the Cowboys were the poster child for lack of balance. They had this great offense and a stank defense, and you just knew it wasn't going to work. There was going to be a problem. When I look down at the different teams that have some level of that balance, especially in the top part, I see Arizona 5th on offense, 4th on defense. Philadelphia, interestingly, I kind of looked at them, even though they're on the lower end, but 13th on offense, 15th on defense. So kind of a bit of a balance there. San Fran coming in both 11th on offense and defense. So that's a little bit of balance. New England, 7th on offense, 1st in defense. We talked about that. Cincinnati, 6 and 6. Kansas City is 9th and 13th. 9th offensive rank, 13th defensive rank. So they're balancing out a little bit. And lastly, Buffalo, can't ask for more balance than that. 2nd in offense, 2nd in defense. Right. So these are teams that, when you're talking about pretenders and contenders, I believe that teams that have that type of balance are definitely contenders.
I would agree with that, especially up here at the top 10.
Absolutely. All right. So again, Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings, that full list can be found at the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings on our Facebook page. All right, Benny. So on our next segment, we're going to take a look at the Pro Football Bias Plus reports for the upcoming week 13. Now, Ben, let me stop there for a second. I don't know if it should be a moment of silence or what. We have a 17-game season. This is week 13.
Okay.
Coming down to the close of the season, man. We got about a month of regular season football left before we get into the playoffs and all of that kind of good stuff. But can you see, when we started this season, 17-game, 18-week season seemed like so far.
It did. It seemed like it was going to be incredibly long. And we're only talking about 2 more games from all the previous seasons, but it did look really long. But It's been so exciting. And now I'm wishing, so if this is 13, so we got 5 weeks left. And I wish I had more. I want more because there's surprises every week. It's tremendous.
It is amazing. It is amazing. All right, let's take a look at the Pro Football Bias Plus reports. First up, Thursday Night Football. Again, I love these games where it's the feature game, the only game of the night we get a chance to watch. The Dallas Cowboys at the New Orleans Saints, those spooky Saints. I still think there's something weird about them. I think they're in the middle of the weirdness of the season. Bias Plus score 6.2 favors the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. The scary Saints. Well, we'll see, because although I don't think it's been announced officially, I believe that Taysom Hill will probably start at quarterback this week. So there'll be a lot of questions answered as far as how the immediate future looks for the New Orleans Saints. They haven't been playing well. Simeon hasn't been playing well, but the whole team hasn't been playing well on either side of the ball. What looked to be a really great run-stopping defense has developed some holes in it. Teams are pretty much having their way with the Saints. It's not pretty. Cowboys took a bad loss to the Raiders last week in overtime. Very penalty-marred game for both teams. It's kind of ugly to watch with all the stoppages. Dak was great through the air, actually. Well, I don't want to say he was great through the air, but he was really good through the air. But in fact, they were down and came back in the fourth quarter. They were down 27-19, and he brought them back to get the game into the overtime, but wheels kind of fell off after that. But I think they'll rebound, so I'm looking for the Cowboys to win this one.
The Cowboys have the third-ranked offense, and the Saints have the 12th-ranked defense based on points. Cowboys have the 14th-ranked defense, but the Saints have the 18th ranked offense, unless Mr. Taysom Hill can add a spark and do something a little spooky to these Cowboys. We shall see.
He's going to need more than a spark. They're going to need more than a spark after that whipping the Bills put on them last week.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was the Bills. It was the Bills.
Oh, when the Bills lost, it was like, something wrong. Oh, what's going on?
You don't expect them to lose. You don't expect them to lose. You don't expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to lose to the Atlanta Falcons. They have a bias plus score of 19.2 in favor of those Tampa Bay Buccaneers over those Atlanta Falcons.
I'm surprised it's that close. This game should not be difficult for the Bucs to handle at all. They've got everything going for them right now. They're actually taking it easy on Tom Brady by becoming even more run-centric than they already were. They're a funny team. They come out and they'll play 2 or 3 games where it looks like we know we can beat teams through the air, so we're just going to do it. And they don't run the ball much. They do it enough to keep a decent amount of balance. And then they'll come out the next week and they'll just run teams into the ground. Fournette is 100% healthy, looking strong, looking dominant. He's a one-man gang. It's crazy. They can beat you any way you want them to beat you. Their only downfall, and I can't call it a downfall really, but their only, I hate to even use the word weakness, but their defense gets a little quirky from time to time. But other than that, the Buccaneers look really good, and the Falcons are probably not going to be able to even compete in this game.
Well, you pointed out the Tampa Bay's defense. Quirky was the word that you used there?
Yeah. I was at a loss for words, so I say quirky.
Quirky gives you the 17th ranked defense. You notice when we talked about balance, I did not mention the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at that.
That is correct.
So that is a question mark with them. But yeah, 19.2.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to show more consistency on defense. That's all. They're still pretty solid against the run. But when teams are able to throw on them the way that teams have been, it becomes a problem. And that's when you need Brady to, go into these scoring matches, which he can do. That's not really an issue. But they really need to shore that thing up if they think they're going to go back to the Super Bowl.
There you go. All right. The Arizona Cardinals at the Chicago Bears, bias plus score of 17.7 favors the Arizona Cardinals. Interesting there. Again, Cardinals, balanced, 5th ranked offense, 4th ranked defense. Your Bears are 29th ranked offense, 18th ranked defense. So, and Mr. Fields is hurt, right?
I believe Fields is still hurt. Even if they're considering playing him, I doubt that they will. But, stranger things have happened. That coach, Matt Nagy, now that he found out that the reports of his demise were not true, he may be settling in and saying, hey, you know what? I dodged a bullet. I'm going to do it my way. So who knows what the heck he's going to do. But the bottom line is the Cardinals are a far better team than the Chicago Bears. Offensively and defensively, they should be able to control anything that the Bears attempt to throw at them. And the best thing they got going for them is their running game with Robert Montgomery. They keep him under control. There's not going to be much Mr. Dalton can do. I don't know 100% just yet. It's Wednesday, whether Kyler Murray is going to play in this game. But I believe I read that he's trending in a positive direction. And it would be nice to see him back out on the field. Kyler Murray's fun to watch. But even if he doesn't play, Colt McCoy, here's a bold statement for you. I would say right now, to this point in the season, Colt McCoy has proven himself to be the best backup quarterback in the league. Bam. How you like that?
I can't argue with that off the top of my head. He came in and played well, and that's, me, I'm big on, having a quality backup. I believe that, in a long season that you need to have that quality backup, that's going to make the biggest difference. Looking at Arizona again, balance, 5th ranked offense, 4th ranked defense. So, the Bears have it. The Bears are only scoring on average 16 points per game.
Yeah, that won't be enough.
Yeah, Colt can handle that.
Oh, easily.
The LA Chargers at the Cincinnati Bengals. We've been talking about them Bengals. Bias plus score 9.2 favors the Cincinnati Bengals. 2 young gunslingers, but the Bengals gunslinger has been a little more successful lately than the LA Chargers gunslinger. His LA Chargers are 14th offensively and 29th defensively.
Achilles heel. That's their Achilles heel, man. That defense. It was looking pretty sturdy early in the season, but it's been pretty shabby lately. And conversely, the Cincinnati defense is really starting to show their worthiness, man. Those guys are looking good. Where's Cincinnati ranked in points against?
Same place they're ranked in points for, 6.
That's right. We talked about that. That's crazy good, man. That's crazy good. What I see in this game is I see Justin Herbert playing well, but their defense just cannot save them. Joe Mixon is running like crazy. Joe Burrow is holding on to the ball, not creating turnovers. He's got a great receiving core. T. Higgins was down for a couple of weeks, but he came back last week with a great touchdown reception rather. And Cincinnati, I would say, is one of the hottest, if not the hottest team right now.
Yeah, Cincinnati. And when I looked at that velocity thing, Cincinnati, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're 7th. Tied with Indianapolis over the last 3 weeks at plus 8.3. So they're trending upward from their net points of 7.5 for the season. Again, that's where you want to start to get them things on the right track as we get toward that last part of the season, last 4 games or so of the season. All right. The Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. Bias plus score 11.6 favors the Minnesota Vikings.
Man, every week I watch these shows on TV and everybody says, don't worry, the Lions are going to win a game. 2-3 weeks ago, they were saying the Lions are going to win some games. Now they're saying the Lions are going to win a game. I picked them 2 weeks in a row in 2 games that were totally winnable for them, and they didn't come through for me. Not only did they not come through, but it was almost like they were searching for a way to lose. They pulled defeat from the jaws of victory a couple of times. And as hard as the players are playing, sometimes the coaches just go bubblehead like it's crazy. So I'm not picking the Lions anymore.
Was it double timeout?
Yeah, 2 timeouts in a row, a 5-yard penalty. You can't do that. I understand it may be somewhat of an obscure rule. I believe that it was put in to prevent teams from trying to freeze kickers at the end of games when they're going for game-winning field goals by calling 2 timeouts right in a row. First of all, it delays the game, and it's kind of corny, to tell you the truth. But I believe that's why the rule was put in. But the rule is a hard and steadfast rule for any situation on the field. You just can't do it. And they were either unaware of it or they just got a little confused and frantic there because it was getting close to the end of the game and they kind of blew it. So either way, Detroit makes far too many mistakes on the field and on the sideline. I'm not picking them anymore. I can't. And besides that,
let me mention that the timeout, from what I understand, came because they thought they had too many men on the field.
That is correct, and they weren't in a position to take a penalty.
The other mistake, which got them the penalty.
Right, and the crazy thing is, they made the mistake because they didn't want to get the penalty, and then they got a penalty. So,
All right, so I guess you're going with the Vikings.
Yes, sir.
All right, next up we had the New York Football Giants at the Miami Dolphins. Bias plus score, here you go, 0.2 favors the Miami Dolphins.
So obviously I'm a Giants fan. Obviously I'm thrilled that they beat the Eagles last week. I'm even more thrilled that they won a game. But, beating the Eagles kind of added a nice little touch to it. That being said, they're keeping games close, but they're not winning like I wish that they would. Daniel Jones may or may not play in this game. At first, they were saying he would probably be out, or he was at least tagged as doubtful. But then today I heard, I think he's got a shoulder or something.
Okay.
But the bottom line is, I read today that he planned on showing up at practice. So if he gets in a couple of limited practices like today and tomorrow, and he can practice in full on Friday, he may still make it for this game. So I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to take the Giants. But if Daniel Jones doesn't play, Miami will probably win the game. Now, I know people are going, wait, you're going to base your pick on Daniel Jones? He's not even that good. Like, they need a quarterback. Yeah, that may be true.
Who's the backup?
Mike Glennon.
Right.
Mike Glennon is their backup. And Mike Glennon's not terrible. Career backup, he's been around the block a few times.
Is the gap between Mike Glennon and Daniel Jones that wide that an injury still makes Daniel Jones the preferred starter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, you know how the NFL is, bro. Daniel Jones, the number one draft pick that makes good money. Mike Glennon is a career backup who could never hold down a starting job more than a game or two in a career that's been, 8-10 years. That's good enough. That's good enough. So, and you can't even really compare him because Glennon doesn't have enough numbers Glennon has to put up 8 years worth of numbers to even make a comparison to a real starter. So, I'm not worried about that. I believe the Giants have a chance to win this game, even though Tua is as hot as a firecracker right now. Tua is playing really, really well, and their defense is looking better. They had a couple of really stellar games, and they had a couple of stinkers. So that 0.2 bias plus score, yeah, it's a close one. It's that close. But I'm going to pick the Giants.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. In that last 3-week period, Miami is the fourth team at plus 14 net points per game over the last 3 weeks.
I can believe that.
Your Giants, I don't believe where they at now. I don't think that they're too far down on that list there. But I'm not seeing. Oh, there they go. Yeah, they're further down. Last 3, minus 2.3 net points per game. So they still got to have some work to do. All right. I did hear one of the what's the guy? He's one of the quarterback guys on the morning shows. he was talking about Tua in this little clip and saying, imagine if Tua had a really good line, and B, maybe one or two more receivers, he
Right.
thinks Tua could really, be a guy you can build with. So it's funny to hear some support for Tua.
There were doubts about Tua when he first was drafted.
Yeah,
So sometimes it takes guys a year or two to really get going. But the main thing is for him is he's able to get these games under his belt and show his promise because he's staying healthy. His whole thing was getting injured, but he's been able to avoid injury, and now he's starting to show what he can do.
I like his demeanor through all of the controversies, dealing with all the potential quarterbacks that they might bring in and all of this kind of stuff. So kudos to him for that.
The kid's cool, man. The kid is cool.
Yeah. He's a pro. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to visit the New York Jets. They don't have to go that far. Right up the road there. Bias plus score of 16.2. Favors those Philadelphia Eagles. And man, let me tell you, Philadelphia made the cut on the top 10 for the last 3 weeks in average net points, tied at 7.3 with the Green Bay Packers, much less over the last 3 weeks. They're 13th in offense, 15th in defense. The Jets are bad. So
the Jets are bad. And again, Zach Wilson got hurt again. So
did he? He got hurt. Yeah. He got hurt again.
Yeah, he got hurt late in the game last week. So
did Mike White come in?
I don't know. That's a report that I saw when looking at, because I didn't really watch the game. So I had to rely on, information from other sources. But he did sustain an injury. I don't think it's a serious injury. So there's a good possibility, if he gets in a couple of practices this week, he'll probably get back out there next week. The crazy thing, Zach Wilson is not terrible. He's really not. It's just that the Jets have nothing on defense. They have nothing. They have no real pass rush. Their secondary is super shabby. They don't have any hitters, no linebackers that can really hold a team down from running the ball consistently against them. They just have nothing. Whereas on offense, they actually do have a few playmakers, especially the kid Elijah Moore, really nice running back. Wide receiver. Jamison Crowder isn't bad. The guy that came over from the Titans, whose name is getting away from me right now. Those receivers are pretty good. Now, some of them been dinged up a little bit, but Elijah Moore is really showing his promise. That kid's going to be good. They got some no-name running backs, and your guy, Tevin Coleman, ex-49er, had a good game last week.
Okay.
So, they got some rebuilding to do. I know Robert Saleh is under a lot of fire, but he's kind of feeling his way as a head coach too. Things take time sometimes, man. It's tough because it's New York. The papers are brutal, the fans are brutal, so everything's magnified there. That being said, I think this is going to be a better game than people think it's going to be. I don't think it'll be a walk in the park for the Eagles, but I believe that they'll win. Oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts got an ankle. He's looking shaky too. So we're really, if you got any of these guys, any of these quarterbacks in fantasy, every day you have to get up and check and see how they're doing. Are they progressing? Did they practice? Did they practice in full? Did they practice in a limited fashion? Were they sitting on the sideline on the bike? Are they getting treatment? Because, come Friday, Saturday, you got to set your lineup. Jalen Hurts might not play.
Well, that would make it an interesting game for sure if Jalen Hurts didn't play and Zach Wilson was the starter.
How about that?
Yeah, that would.
So this is a sticky one. I don't like picking games like this, but I have to pick the game. I'm going to take the Eagles, But I tell you what, if Jalen Hurts doesn't start, it's going to be a problem because we're talking about Gardner Minshew.
Gardner is on the sideline.
The Eagles have been living off of Jalen Hurts' legs, win, lose, or draw, for the majority of the season. And if his running ability is taken away and they have to actually give the ball to Boston Scott and Sanders and just live off of their running ability and expect Gardner Minshew to get the ball to Devontae Smith, and I don't even want to say the other guy's name because that was an embarrassing performance last week. But anyway, yeah, this one's up in the air. I'm going to pick the Eagles, but this one's up in the air.
All right, going with the Eagles. All right, don't think you're going to have a problem with this one either. Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans. Bias plus score 17.2 favors the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts on this one, obviously. Looks like I've been going with the bias pretty much the whole way here. Oh, except for the Giants pick. But anyway, yeah, Colts are looking pretty good. Wentz is playing very well. They've shown the ability to put up numbers. They've shown the ability to play good, solid defense. They haven't let any games get away from them scoring-wise. Colts are looking good, but I don't know what else to say. The Houston Texans, obviously, they had a couple of flashes there. They won a game, but they're still in trouble. Still lack of talent there. Guys, I'm sure are trying to get out of there. But they seem to be playing hard. They do play hard. I'll give them that. But there's no way they can stand up to the Colts. Colts have far too much talent.
The Colts have a running back, a phenom.
Yeah, when they choose to use him.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's their strength. We shall see. Only thing with the Colts that I'm looking at for Indianapolis is that their defense is coming in 20th. They're giving up 23.6 points per game. Now, Houston is only scoring 14. But isn't our man back? Is he still quarterbacking?
Tyrod?
Huh?
Tyrod?
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, he's been around.
Is he's still starting? You expect him to start?
No, yeah, sure.
Okay, all right. Well, hopefully Tyrod can lift that scoring number up a little bit, score a little more.
I doubt it.
Against that Colt defense, right?
Not going to happen.
Where does that Colt defense rank? Again, 20th. Hey, man, he might have a shot.
Well, let's remember that's not the defensive rating. That's points against. So they've given up some points, and they've won some games where they've given up a lot of points.
Oh, yeah, they're averaging greater than they're giving up. So no doubt about it. No doubt about it. The Washington football team going out to LV. I'm going to say LA. Going out to Las Vegas to visit the Raiders. Bias plus score only 1.9, less than 2. Favors those Raiders. But here comes Scary Terry and the Washington football team.
Toughy. Nah, it's not really that tough. No. Although it did my heart good. You know what? So I watched the Monday night game. It's the Seahawks and Washington. And I'm thinking to myself, Russell's been playing really bad. And the defense is not very good. But he's got to snap out of it. I'm like, Russ has got to snap out of it. He's got DK on one side. He's got Lockett on the other side. Without Chris Carson, their running game is nowhere near. It wasn't great, but it was good. Now it's nowhere even near good. Alex Collins, I thought they were going to get more out of him. He's pedestrian. DJ Dallas is not ready for prime time. So they basically have no running game to speak of, okay? But when you have receivers like Russell Wilson has, you expect him to come out there and cook. We've seen it when they let Russ cook. So Russ, start cooking. But he's in some kind of a funk. I don't know what's going on. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's him or the play calling, or now we'll say this. DK ran some crappy routes Monday night. It almost was like he wasn't even trying to get open. It was crazy. He didn't get targeted till late in the game, I think. His first catch, his only catch, was like in the fourth quarter. This is ridiculous, you know? But he couldn't find Lockett much either. I think he lived off of Gerald Everett, the tight end that they got over from the Rams from last year. So, man, I don't know. Why am I talking about the Seahawks? You're supposed to say, Ben, we're not talking about the Seahawks. The reason I was talking about the Seahawks is
because I think
they played Washington.
They played Washington, and Washington could have taken more advantage of that poor play.
That's right. So I said all that to say this. Derek Carr is not Russell Wilson. Derek Carr just put up 36 on the Cowboys last week and beat him in overtime. Derek Carr and the Raiders are going to welcome Washington in and send them on home with a loss.
Well, interesting. Both teams are in the negative in net points. Washington being negative 4.8 and Vegas being negative 3.3. So Derek Carr, but to get his act together, he's putting up 23 points a game, but they're giving up 26, almost 27 points a game. And that's not a long-term winning formula when you got a power force like Taylor Heineke coming into town.
A power force. Stop it. The power force on that team is Antonio Gibson. And that's why this might end up being a game. I expect the Raiders to win. I'm confident that the Raiders are going to win. But Antonio Gibson is a handful, man. And as long as he's running well, Minshew can keep his passing attempts low. And when his passing attempts are low.
You said Minshew.
Oh, my God. Heineke. Oh, God. I'm going crazy here. Heineke can keep his passing attempts low. And when he's able to do that, he becomes more efficient, especially when you got a great receiver like McLaurin out there. But, yeah, they're not.
Game.
Excuse me?
And a nice run game.
Antonio Gibson that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson's a beast.
Yeah.
And the Raiders are not good against the run. That's why I say it's going to, but the name of the game is putting the ball in the end zone. That is what the Washington football team struggles with.
Okay.
That's what they struggle with. And the Raiders don't.
Okay. Is Waller, what's his status? I just saw something
today
like he hurt his knee.
Today he was listed as doubtful. That's not good. Doubtful is not good. If they say questionable, you got a 50-50 chance and it gets better as the week goes on. When they say doubtful, that means he's in the facility getting treatment. He ain't on the practice field. That's not good.
Well, all that adds up to a very small bias, under 2. So that shows you that this could be more of a game than what we might think, just as a game, you know, 2 teams going at it. So.
This is the kind of season I'll make a statement and then I'll say this is the kind of season where that statement would normally mean something and now it doesn't. So the Raiders put 36 up on the Cowboys defense last week. And the Cowboys defense is far and away better than the Washington defense. Now, under normal circumstances, that would make sense, right? But what I've seen this season, it don't mean nothing. But I got to pick somebody, so I'm picking the Raiders.
Going with the bias. There you go, buddy. Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. This sounds like a mighty match. But who's going to be starting quarterback for Pittsburgh? Is Roethlisberger okay?
I have no idea.
And our man Lamar said of his own play, he said, I played like a rookie. But that rookie has a bias plus score of 5.8, favoring them with the Baltimore Ravens.
So, first of all, Big Ben's arm is becoming more and more of a liability. He doesn't seem to be in sync with his receivers, especially Claypool. Had a lot of trouble finding him. Any team that can slow Najee Harris down running the ball is going to have the advantage over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Intermediate to deep throws outside the numbers, Ben's arm is not there anymore. He can't make those throws. He just can't make that throw. He's in danger.
He made a few of those throws earlier in the season, but it seems like as the season has gone on, his ability has diminished.
Exactly. And if it continues to diminish, which it probably will at the rate that he's going, then it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. But as long as he's able to stand up and take a snap and take a drop back, they're going to keep putting him out there because, hey, that's Big Ben. That's their guy. Not to mention that their backup is a personal dumpster fire. But, this game won't be a runaway because the Ravens just don't seem to run away from teams. But the Ravens should be able to control this game. They should be able to control the time of possession. They should be able to put up a ton of yards on the ground between Lamar and Devontae Freeman and Latavius Murray and control the clock and just beat the Steelers into submission because the Steeler defense kind of shockingly has really gone to hell too. They can't stop anybody.
What's the status of TJ Watt, you know?
TJ Watt, I think he survived a serious injury, but whether or not he'll be able to play, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Because they need that type of speed if they're going to be trying to wrangle Lamar Jackson. But if he's not there, I don't know what they got coming behind that. So what's your call here?
Ravens.
I'm sorry.
You didn't hear me? I said Ravens.
Ravens.
Yes.
All right. I was choking while you were saying Ravens.
Oh no.
Like Ravens. I'm like,
You need to sit.
Yeah, that would clear my throat, no doubt about it. All right. Okay. Well, now, if this don't look like a potential get-right game for the LA Rams, I don't know what does. Bias plus score 14.6 favors those LA Rams against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, Rams are in a little bit of trouble. What I'm hearing is Matt Stafford is battling a bunch of little injuries. A knee, an ankle, his shoulder. He's got all kinds of stuff. Nothing bad enough to prevent him from playing, but he's banged up. Now, he's not as banged up as Baker Mayfield. That guy's a ticking time bomb. But Stafford is not 100% healthy and is beginning to show. Also, their vaunted defense is going to stop me from using the V word on them too. The Rams are not that good on defense. They're really not. When's the last time you heard Jalen Ramsey's name? When's the last time you heard Jalen Ramsey had a big game? When's the last time you heard Aaron Donald had a big game?
Yeah, that's the one.
Right. And Ndamukong Suh, I don't know 100%, but I would venture to guess that if Ndamukong Suh has more sacks than Aaron Donald, if that's true, I would not be surprised at all.
Wow.
And they're kind of the same guy, except of course Suh is bigger, you know what I mean? But they're that huge dude that gets to push up the middle, that can handle double teams and almost stalemate them, you know? But yeah, the Rams defense is not as good as they were cracked up to be. They don't use their running game as much as I think that they should. They brought Stafford over. They got all these receivers. You know, losing Robert Woods is bigger than a lot of people think. Robert Woods, according to their head coach, was the heart and soul of that receiving corps. Even though Cooper Kupp is the obvious star, okay, and should continue to be the obvious star. Robert Woods is the guy that everybody kind of flocked around and listened to. He was like the old head in the room, you know what I mean? That kept everybody on the straight and narrow. Now he's gone. You got Beckham, who finally scored a touchdown, looked good on it too, and then promptly went out with an injury. Ay, caramba. I'll tell you, man, it's rough out here, folks. It's rough out here. But fear not, fantasy players. If you can grab Van Jefferson, get him. Get him and get him quick. Because, you know, when Beckham gets hurt, he's not real quick to get back on the field. So it could be the Van Jefferson Cooper Cup show coming up this week. But even that is more than enough to be able to handle the Jaguars. So take the Rams.
Going with the Rams. All righty. Okay, what do we have here? I don't want this game. That's the game that I want, because that wraps up the 4:30 games on Sunday. San Francisco 49ers at Seattle Seahawks. Bias plus score 3.7 favors my beloved San Francisco 49ers. All right, Ben, you know, I do the virtual on these games. So I played this game and I lost.
Oh, the Seahawks beat you?
Let me tell you, it was funny. I was doing the things that I needed to do, you know, to win this game. We got to, I was up 4 with under 2 minutes left. I went up 4, let me put it that way, with under 2 minutes left, kicked the ball back off to the Seahawks. And the next thing I know, DK Metcalf is flying down the sideline, beating my quarterback in like one play, and they score. And I'm like, oh my God. And I go down 3. But I got time, and I got a couple timeouts.
Right.
And I worked that thing down within field goal range with, I think it was 9 seconds left, maybe 9 seconds. I should have kicked the field goal, but I thought I had a play.
Wait. There's 9 seconds left in the game. You're where on the field?
Like the 10-yard line.
And the score is what?
I'm down 3.
You're down 3. Don't say nothing else. Don't say nothing else to me, because you're pissing me off right now. After the big freaking stink that you made about the Buffalo Bills in a real game with real live people that have blood flowing through their veins, that big stink you made, and then you tell me you're playing a stinking Madden game and you didn't kick the field goal?
Well,
you gotta be kidding me, man.
If I executed, I would have been okay. Okay, but I didn't execute. I have a bad habit. I tend to, when I drop back, to drift left, and I did that and drifted right into the rush. That's the only reason it didn't work. But I could have got that kick off. But long story short, I flubbed it. I messed it up. I lost. I'm hoping that my Niners play, a little bit better. But the question is Russ going to actually snap back into form for this game?
Russ has had ample opportunities to snap out of his funk. He has not done it. I don't see him doing it against a division rival like the 49ers, who are going to come into Seattle with a running game that is really, really hard to stop. Oh, unfortunately for you, Debo is also carrying a doubtful designation.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying right now he may miss 1 to 2 games. But even without Debo, Elijah Mitchell is cooking right now. And your O-line is cooking right now. And even though Jimmy G hasn't had to throw the ball a lot, he's been fairly efficient, and he's refocused on Mr. Ayuk, my man I picked up in fantasy just 2 weeks ago. People were ignoring him because he wasn't getting any production. But now he gets a couple of targets a game. I'm thinking he's going to start to ramp it up a little bit. 49ers should be fine. They should be fine. I'm going to take the Niners.
It's Kittle time, baby. It's Kittle time.
Oh, yeah. You know, you always got Kittle in your back pocket. That's
It's Kittle time. All right. So that would wrap up the 4:30 slated games. Next up, we have the Sunday night matchup. The Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. Ben, I haven't mentioned any of these games yet as a potential intriguing game of the week for me.
Yeah, I was waiting patiently.
This would be one of them. This would be a potential.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you something now, and I don't think I've ever said this to you before. Well before we even started to record this show, I knew who the intriguing game of the week was going to be.
Okay.
And it ain't this one, but it looks like a good one. The Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs by a score of only 0.8 favors the Broncos.
Yes.
Teddy Two Gloves.
Teddy Two Gloves is back. Here's a funny story. Not really a story. I guess everybody knows this by now. So Teddy gets injured in the game last week. He goes out. He has to go to the locker room for a little treatment. He goes to the locker room. They bring in Drew Lock. Drew Lock looks like some kid they pulled out of the parking lot who was playing catch with his dad. Yo, that dude stinks, man. It was so bad. They're like, Teddy, can you go? He's like, I'm hurt. They're like, dude, can you go? He's like, yeah, I guess I can go. Get your ass back out there.
What?
That's how bad Drew Lock is.
Really?
But I think if Teddy's okay, he was able to re-enter the game. He was able to finish the game, so that was a good thing. He said that the whole team was going to get together, do some soul searching along with the coaching staff during their bye week and all that. They seem to be kind of rounding back into form like they were earlier in the season. I think I'm going to pick my first upset of this week, and that upset is going to be the Denver Broncos are going to go into Kansas City and pull out a victory. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to have a whole heck of a lot of something to do with their running game. Their running game also is beginning to crank up. Now, will they use the blueprint? Will they go with the two high safeties to try to control Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, keep them underneath, let them get the little yardage, keep them out of the end zone, and then take care of the time of possession with their run game? If Denver is able to do that successfully, they have a good chance to win this game. And I do not believe in the Kansas City Chiefs as a whole, regardless of who they're playing. I just don't like the way they look. I don't think they're right. People think they're the same as they were last year when they went to the Super Bowl. They are not. People think their defense is getting better. No, it isn't. They've just had some good game script where they're able to force teams in the passing situations, and they can just turn everybody loose. But if the Broncos come with a fairly balanced attack, a little more 60-40 run-wise, I think they can win this game. I'm going to take the Broncos.
Interesting situation here because, you know, Kansas City Chiefs, as I said, in the last 3 weeks, they're number 3 relative to net points, averaging plus 14.3 over the last 3 weeks. So they've been coming around. Their defense is ranked 13th. They're giving up just under 23 points a game. Their offense is 9th, scoring 25 points per game. The Denver defense is ranked 3rd. They're only giving up 17.8, just under 18 points a game, but their offense is only scoring 20.7 points per game. They're ranked 21st.
Yeah, they're a little challenged offensively, and they shouldn't be because they have a really nice young receiver core. Okay. So those guys are always going to remain dangerous. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, those guys are going to always be dangerous as long as they're out there. But Teddy needs time to be able to find them and get downfield. So that's where the running game comes in. Now, last week, they played the Chargers. Obviously, the Chargers are not good against the run, obviously. But guess what? Kansas City's not good against the run either. Melvin Gordon carried the ball 17 times, 83 yards. And Javonte Williams carried the ball 14 times, 54 yards. And he scored a touchdown. And he got another 57 on 3 catches out of the backfield. Broncos are dangerous. They're dangerous. I'm picking them to win this game.
Going with the bias.
Again, yes.
Broncos. Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. All right. Final game of Week 13 special team match, Monday Night Football. And my intriguing game of the week. Ben, there's an intriguing game just like this about to happen. If it's not happening tonight, I'm not sure. In basketball.
What's that? I want to watch it.
The top 2 teams, the Warriors.
Oh.
And what's his name?
No, it's the Suns.
The Suns, Phoenix.
Yes.
1
yes.
and 2.
Yes.
1 and 2 happening in basketball. 1 and 2 happening Monday night. In football, your bias plus score favors at only 0.9, favors the Buffalo Bills. But as I said here, the defense for the New England is ranked first. The offense for the Buffalo Bills is ranked second. But relative to net points, Buffalo's number 1 at 13.1. New England is number 2 at 12.2. So that's number 1 and number 2 going at it in basketball and in football. Let's get ready to rumble.
Damn. This is a tough one. This is a really, really tough one.
Yeah, especially with New England being first in net points over the last 3 weeks at plus 28.7.
Yeah. Besides the Bengals, they're hot. They're really hot. But they're not dominating hot. They're winning hot, but they're not dominating hot. But
That's
it's almost
because they have a run game.
Well, yeah, they do have a run game. But again, it's not a devastating run game. You know what I mean? It's just all I can do is keep saying Josh McDaniels is the best OC in the NFL. This guy puts together game plans like Belichick puts together defensive game plans that are always on point. How much to throw, when to throw, not only when do we run, who do we run? Okay. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson. These aren't big names. Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, super game manager. He keeps these guys in the games with not necessarily conservative game plans, but just it's too simple to just say well thought out. That's not. This guy's a scheming master. And believe me, the Bills have some issues on offense and defense. Clearly,
they lost one of their top defensive players.
Well, yes, that hasn't helped them. But clearly, offensively, they have little to no running game. They have to throw the ball to set up the run just to get the little bit of production on the ground that they get. Now, Singletary did show some promise, and your boy Matt Breida, another ex-Niner, showed off his speed. Their O-line can open holes, but it's like I don't. It's tough. First of all, those guys are very small. They're small guys.
No.
They don't have any. Singletary runs bigger than he is. You know what I mean? He runs like a big man, but he's a small man.
I think the Patriots running backs have some nice size.
If Damian Harris is a huge, he's bigger than Singletary. And Ramondre
whatever his name.
Yeah, he's a bulldozer. He's
yeah.
He's pretty tough runner.
And you got a Niner on both sides. You mentioned Breida, and you got your man that you always used to talk about, Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne,
yeah. He's always talking about him. Yeah. And I think he's really finding a good spot. Let me say this real quick. There's a guy on Facebook, and I don't know if he says things just to be controversial, but he put out these things that these teams should have done. Like the Niners should have taken Mac Jones. And my thought right off the bat is Mac Jones is in the place where he needs to be. He would not be the Mac Jones that we're seeing today if he was with my Niners. Right. I don't believe. Right. Number one, obviously my coaches have some other concepts in mind if they're going to get a guy like Trey Lance. You know what I mean? They got some other things that they're looking to do with their quarterback. And Mac Jones don't really fit that model. Exactly. So I'm kind of a Mac Jones fan, man. Mac and cheese, put a little gravy on it, and I'm good. I put gravy on my mac and cheese, man. So, what do you think? You got you got the Bills or the Patriots?
I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills because I think Josh Allen will simply outplay Mac Jones. I think he'll make more big plays. He's more dangerous with his legs. And I'm hoping that because they're at home, and it's been a couple of weeks now since that D-back went down, that they've pretty much shored that up. And the defenses will kind of wipe each other out. You know what I mean? But defensively, it should be a wash. Josh Allen will make more big plays than Mac Jones will. Hence, they will win the game. The Bills.
You know where it was a wash when I was doing those calculations?
Where's that?
A tied. Equal at 0.8.
Okay. And we talked about Josh throwing 2 picks last week. Well, and they moved down. They were number 1. Now they're number 3.
Right.
Yeah, because their defense, the Bills picked 1 off, and he threw 2. So that's one game he dropped from first to third. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, and New England is right there at number 2. So there you go. All right. So you're going with the Bills over the Patriots. All right. Well, that wraps up the Week 13 Pro Football Bias Plus reports. All right, Ben, it's the 4th quarter. We're going to get ready to finish this thing up. We go to our Ben and Barry on Facebook page and look at some of the current events and hot topics. First off, I do want to mention the Raiders-Cowboys Thanksgiving Day game was the most watched NFL regular season game on any network since 1990. So everybody was home tuned in for that one. That looked like a good one going in. So how many plates were you on by the time this game came on? Second plate, third plate?
This was the second game of the 3, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I was second plate there.
Second plate there?
Yep.
All right. Let's skip over. Hey, look, man. We've been on the Prime, Coach Prime bandwagon all year. We want to congratulate Deion Sanders for being the SWAC Coach of the Year. Coach
Great.
of the Year, Coach Prime. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good for Jackson State, man. What's that? Southwest Athletic Conference?
Yes.
SWAC. All right. Did you hear about former NFL quarterback Robert Griffin III? Bobby Griffin, as you like to call
Bobby
him?
Griffin. Yeah, I heard Bobby Griffin's going to write a book. He's going to expose some things that he experienced while he was with the Washington football team.
He's
I don't
talking
know.
about the medical mismanagement of his knee injury.
Yeah, but people aren't going to get the book for that. They're going to get the book so they can find out some dirt on Daniel Snyder. And he's got that too. So he says.
So he says. So is he officially retired at this point?
Oh, yeah, he's a broadcaster.
Okay.
He's doing college games.
All right. He's no longer in the backfield in Baltimore.
No.
Okay. All right. Bobby Griffin, Robert Griffin III. I have a link here, Ben. Again, we try to do something for the community. Our girl Cynthia Freeland is offering summer internships. So if you're interested in analytics,
Oh, Lord have mercy.
if you're interested in analytics, check in with the NFL. Check our link here and Cynthia Freeland's link. And I think they're looking for master's level, if you like, in a master's degree or that type of stuff. So
Okay.
Go on in there and check it out. Hey, man, can you imagine a job with the NFL? You know, the only jobs, the sweetest NFL job that I can think of right now is backup quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of people would agree with you on that.
That's
without a doubt.
Hey, look, backup quarterback is it. All right, Ben. I know I get on your nerves sometimes, and I know I particularly irritated you with the brain fart conversation. However, my boy, Kirk Cousins, came through for me with the brain fart of brain farts. All right, here's Kirk Cousins lining up behind the guard. He's ready. He's ready to take the snap. Dalvin Cook's like, no. It's the next guy over. Fourth down, they had to take a timeout. Brain fart at the worst of times in the situations. You got to know why. He is one of my favorite people to mess with. You got to love Kirk Cousins. Telling everybody where to go. You, there. Come on over here. Right, left, right. All right, ready, set. I know you love it. You gotta love it.
I'm glad you got a good laugh off of that. And by itself, it is funny. But it's not the brain fart of all brain farts. We've both seen worse. And I've seen that happen before.
Oh yeah, other people have had those same brain farts. So yeah, he ain't. It's not just him, but he's there. He was there this weekend. Against my squad, much less.
In fact, Tyrod Taylor had one that was worse than that.
Really?
Because he was in shotgun formation. He was with the Bills. He was in shotgun formation.
Okay.
So there was nobody to straighten him out. And the center snapped the ball right by him.
What was he like? But he wasn't behind the center when he lied in the
No, he wasn't nowhere near behind the center. He was behind the guard. He's calling signals. He's looking at the guard's butt. And the center snapped the ball and the ball flew right by him.
Oh, my goodness. You got to love it. You got to love it. Okay.
Well,
we're all human.
But in Cousins' defense, there was a whole lot going on that play. both teams had some confusion as to their personnel. So there were people running on and off the field. And in fact, he had to leave his position on the field, basically behind the center, run at least out past the tight end in order to shout instructions out to the wide receiver and or get something shouted back at him from the coach. Then he runs back and just lost count of the bodies and got behind the wrong guy. He had to travel. If he didn't have to move so far to his right, he probably would have come right back to the right spot. But in the confusion, and people are going back and forth and on the field and off the field and changing from the right side to the left side, it's pretty confusing. So I could see that happening.
Yeah, well, that's when brain farts happen. That's when they happen. It's about confusions. Before we finish up, I did want to give you a chance to maybe speak about the passing of one Curly Culp.
Curly Culp, one of my favorite. Look, I might have said this before, probably sometime back in the past, but I probably started watching NFL football in earnest around the age of 8 and really beginning to understand it around the ages of 9 and 10. And shortly after that, the AFL appeared. And I was big time on the AFL. I couldn't wait for AFL games to come on. They just seemed to be so much more exciting than the NFL games were. NFL, everybody ran the ball. AFL, everybody threw the ball. And everybody had fast wide receivers. And it was just crazy. It was crazy. It was the interceptions all over the place. Guys getting pick sixes. And it was crazy. And I loved the Kansas City Chiefs, who Curly Culp played for. I loved the old Dallas Texans, the Buffalo Bills. They had Cookie Gilchrist. What a name.
Oh.
Cookie Gilchrist.
I remember that name.
You know, yeah. I mean, I loved watching the AFL games. So, yeah, I kind of came up with Curly Culp. He was on the Kansas City team, I believe, that beat he was on the Kansas City team that lost to the Packers, maybe in Super Bowl 2 or 3. I don't know if he was on the Kansas City team that won Super Bowl 4 or 5 or whichever one they won early on. But he was a great player, big time hitter, big time run stopper, and they used him in coverage.
Yeah. So, wow. They used them in coverage, eh?
Yeah. Well, you know, tight ends.
Okay.
The full backs that would go out for passes, not no speedsters.
No, I understand.
You know, but back then, everybody had like a fullback and a halfback. The whole running back thing wasn't really in vogue then. So you had a fullback, you had a halfback, and the fullback would either block or occasionally he would go out for a little swing pass. So fullback back in those days was basically a light in the pants offensive guard, you know? So, and the tight ends were light in the pants offensive tackles. So there wasn't a lot of speed there. All your speed was with your halfback and your wide receivers. So there were guys that he could cover. Kansas City played they played multiple defenses. They had some good teams back then, really good teams. And he's a Hall of Famer. So.
Okay. Well, I figured you would. If anybody knew a little bit about Curly Culp, you would. So rest in peace. And just wanted to mention that. All right. Hey, Ben, that's it. I have no more.
That's all we got.
That's all we got. Unless you got something.
I need it this weekend. Go Giants.